Continuing on with our party from our most recent playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, we have Karlach. Now I know some of you are looking at the character on screen and you're like, by God, what is that thing? Believe it or not, that was Karlach. Stuff happened, which we will get into, but like with any good story, we have to start at the beginning. And also I need to go through my own transformation right now, so say goodbye to the long hair. Actually worked out better than I thought. But we're going to go over our giant barbarian that we use for Karlach. We're going to use the same format that we used for our last video, which is we're going to go through Act 1, we're going to go through the leveling, the gear that you should be prioritizing, then move into Act 2, Act 3, and then finish off the video with the gameplay session. So that's enough intro yapping from me. Let's get started. Alrighty, at level 1, when you pick up Karlach, respec her, and we're picking obviously Barbarian. Now as a Barbarian, we get the class action Rage. We're going to be doing 2 extra damage with our throwing attacks. That's really good. Also, we get resistance to all physical damage. That's bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing. This is going to last for 10 turns. This is basically always going to be our opener for, I would say, pretty difficult fights, or at least fights that you know are going to last like more than 1 or 2 turns. We also get the class feature here, Unarmored Defense, which goes along with our Constitution, going to be giving us a higher AC. As a Barbarian, we're not really going to be wearing too much armor. For your ability spread here, go with something like this. Your Strength being at 17, that's really important. Other than that, Dexterity, Constitution, Wisdom, kind of just the standard. That's level 1 out of the way. Let's move on to level 2. All right, and then at level 2 here, we get the class feature Danger Sense. This is going to give us advantage on dexterity saving throws. That's pretty good. And then we get the action Reckless Attack. This is going to give us advantage on our attack rolls with melee. This can be good in the early game when you really need to basically secure a kill, but when you're picking up Karlach, you're probably going to be already like level 3. So let's move on to level 3 real quick. In level 3, we get to pick up our subclass. And the subclass we're going for is Giant. When we pick up Giant here, we get Vapric Screed. This is going to increase our carrying capacity, though I'm not going to lie, during our playthrough, we had a mod that basically made it we can hold as much shit as we want without being encumbered. That was amazing. And then our Rage gets turned into Giant's Rage. Basically, we're going to increase our size, and then our Rage damage is doubled for our throw attacks, which is what we're going to be focusing on. That's all that changes with your Rage. And then we get a cantrip here, which is Thaumaturgy. I'm not gonna lie, we didn't use this once, but let's move on to level 4. And at level 4, we're gonna pick up our first feat. Now this is mandatory. This is a throwing barbarian, so we need to go with Tavern Brawler. Tavern Brawler is essentially going to double our strength modifier damage we do with throwing weapons. It's a bug in Baldur's Gate 3. It's not how it works in tabletop, but we're going to take advantage of this bug because it's extremely powerful. We also get to improve our ability points by 1, either strength or constitution. This is why we set our strength to 17 when we first start off. So now we can round it up to 18, which means we're going to get it plus 4 twice when we use Tavern Brawler. This is amazing in the early game and basically makes this extremely powerful throughout the game because our strength modifier is only going to get increased. And this also applies to our attack rolls, meaning we barely miss as well, which in the early game, the attack rolls really can hurt you, but not with Karlach here. But okay, let's move on to level 5. Now at level 5, we get the class action here. Well, let's talk about this one first. We get the class action Boot of the Giants. This is going to do 9 damage, and this is just a great bonus action. Giant Barbarian is just fun. There's really no other way to describe it. You know, you have Eldritch Knights that can do a throwing build, and then you have the Berserker Barbarians that also can do a throwing build, but Giants here, they get Boot of the Giants, which is a bonus action. So you throw your weapon twice, and then you can run up to them and just give them the boot with your bonus action. This is amazing. I absolutely love this. But with our class feature, we also get extra attack, which means we get to throw things twice, and then we also get a little bit of movement speed. That's level 5 out of the way, but right off the bat here, Karlach, she's basically very much like feature complete, where she has a great use of her bonus action on every turn, and then obviously she's an absolute monster when it comes to using her action with throwing something to do incredible damage and never misses. Let's move on to level 6 here, where you probably are going to be ending Act 1 if you're rushing along. If you stay a little bit longer, you can get up to level 7. We get another Rage here, and these come off cooldown basically after you long rest. Now level 6, we do pick up our class action Elemental Cleaver. This is also why Giant Barbarian is amazing as a thrower. With Elemental Cleaver here, we get to put an element on our throwing weapon, and there's a variety to choose from. Using Elemental Cleaver does not take an action, a bonus action, or a reaction. You just need to remember to apply it. And while you have this Elemental Cleaver on whatever weapon you're using, it gets the thrown property, meaning even if it's not considered a throwing weapon, something like a greatsword, it'll make that greatsword a throwing weapon. And the best part is, it'll come back to you immediately, even if it doesn't have the return property. This makes anything you pick up a throwing weapon inviolable for this build. Now keep in mind, you have to be raging to use Elemental Cleaver, and like we mentioned before, there are some fights that literally take like a turn or two, so it's like you don't maybe want to be popping your rage and then you don't get Elemental Cleaver for those situations, but again, for the big fights, yeah, this absolutely rocks. But those are the levels out of the way for Act 1. Let's now move into the equipment that I would definitely prioritize. Moving on to the equipment you need to be picking up in Act 1. I've also forgot to mention that Karlach here is resistant to fire. So while you're raging, that's all the physical weapons and then fire as well. Makes her very tanky. But equipment wise, let's start with our weapons here. The returning pike. This is amazing because you throw it and it's going to come back to you, has all those, those throwing properties that we love, and we don't have to be raging while we do it. This is what I would probably stick to 90% of the time, but there are two other weapons that are pretty damn good too. The Faith Breaker here. This I kept around just for the Grimforge fight, and I gotta tell you, I was very surprised on how fast we melted that thing. All because Karlach was throwing this hammer here. Kind of forgot how much damage you can do to an enemy when they're vulnerable to a certain type, which is bludgeoning for that fight. Amazing. Just take any hammer. By the way, any hammer can work, but we used the Faith Breaker. In addition to that, we also used the Soul Breaker Greatsword, but remember, if you're going to be throwing this weapon, you gotta rage and then use Elemental Cleaver on it, or else you're going to throw it and it's just going to be gone. But those are kind of the three weapons, very simple. Other than that, gear that I would prioritize, gloves of the uninhibited Kashigo here. These are excellent because this is just going to do more damage to our throwing. We also tried on the boots of Stormy Clamor for a time, and this was okay because the condition that we're going to be, we were trying to synergize it with, is reverberation. So we tried using gloves of the Belligerent Skies at some point. This didn't work out as well as I wanted, again, because there's just some fights where we weren't raging. But this is an option where you can take off the gloves there and then pair up Belligerent Skies with Stormy Clamor. And this combination does work if you're raging using Elemental Cleaver. So those are pretty good. Other than that, we did use the Ring of Flinging. Again, more throwing damage. And then for our range weapon, we are using the Bow of Awareness, which is going to give us +1 to our initiative rolls. We really aren't going to have any problems with initiative when it comes to Karlach, especially later on. But this is the gear out of the way. Now, any slot that I have open here, kind of just slot, whatever you have that your party's not using. Just keep in mind with Karlach here, we're not really wearing any armor. But that's the gear out of the way for Act 1. Let's move on to Act 2 leveling. And actually, for our playthrough, we were still level 7 in Act 1. So it's probably where we're going to be ended, but we're rolling with it. At level 7 here for our Giant Barbarian, we get Feral Instinct. This is going to give us +3 to our initiative, and we can't be surprised. This is almost like a little mini alert, so we don't need to take that feat when we hit level 8, which we are very much just about to do. Level 8 here, we get to pick up our second feat. So while you could take alert and just have absolutely busted initiative, no, we went for more damage, so we picked Savage Attacker. There it is. We picked Savage Attacker, which is going to roll our damage dice twice and give us the highest result. This is going to be a net positive for our damage, even if it's not like the most flashy feat. It's still really good and perfect for Karlach here. Moving on to level 9. At level 9, we get Brutal Critical, which means the roll we need for a critical hit is reduced by 1. More damage, Karlach, more damage. Moving on to level 10 here, we get Mighty Impel. Basically, with our bonus action, we get to throw a target. Now remember, there is a throw option with your action as well, meaning you can kind of just play American football with an entire enemy group because you can throw them twice with your regular throw, and now we have a bonus action to throw enemies as well. Again, Giant Barbarian is just fun. But that is Act 2 leveling out of the way. Let's move on to the gear that you should be looking for in Act 2, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a short list. For Act 2 gear, I would just go get the Mighty Cloth here. This is going to increase our strength by 2, and this is why we didn't take ability score improvement for our second feat. In addition, we can't be pushed, and we have advantage on saving throws from being restrained, so pretty good all around. But yeah, that's it for the gear for Karlach. Let's finish off leveling. So finishing off leveling in Act 3 at level 11, we get Relentless Rage. If we get to 0 hit points, we'll come back up and we'll be at 1 hit point. Honestly, we didn't use this too much, or I think, or have it like proc for us. Let's move on to level 12. Level 12, we're gonna get our last feat. We also get an additional rage. For our last feat here, we went with ability improvement, and now we bumped our strength all the way up to 20. This basically frees up us to use whatever chest piece we want later on. There's a few good options, but we didn't really get around to any of those, and maybe I'll explain why in a little bit. Now in Act 3, the gear that we were targeting, we got something like the Helmet of Grit. When we have 50 hit points or less, we get an additional bonus action. This is great for giant barbarians because we already talked about how we have so many uses for our bonus action. I wish I utilized this a little bit more. For a chest piece, the Bone Spike Garb here, not bad. We didn't pick it up because we'll hold off on that for a second, but this would have been a great armor piece for her. For our gloves, we went the Gauntlets of Frost Giant Strength. This sets our strength to 23. In addition to that, we paired it with the Amulet of Greater Health. Now this technically means we could have respect Karlach and totally completely nuked our strength and constitution stats and put those into something else, but we didn't really feel like we needed to min-max that much. Weapon wise, we have Nirulna here, and you get this pretty early. This is a great throwing weapon. Just keep in mind, when you throw this thing, it does an AoE blast, friend or foe. That can get a little annoying if you have some frontline characters. We had 2 of them, so they were constantly getting hit with this. Kind of a pain in the butt. We actually switched to returning pike here for a little bit until we got our second weapon here, which was the Baldur's Giant Slayer. This was amazing. This was like meant for a giant barbarian. You throw this thing, it is just like a chunky bit of damage. I think I got nerfed a little bit from the test of the last patch, but it still hits like a truck. This is the gear I would be targeting, but our Karlach story didn't really need any of this gear at the end because, well, she turned into a mind flare. Karlach's like, why are you taking all my clothes? It's like, be still, Karlach. It's for the best. Ready. Do it. Karlach! Exhilarating. And in all honesty, guys, I kind of think keeping her as a giant barbarian for the last leg of the game, probably the better choice. Not saying she was useless as a mind flayer, it's just they were better candidates, and unfortunately there, yeah, Karlach, she made the ultimate sacrifice. But let's head to a gameplay section. Now, for the gameplay section, we're gonna fight some guards, but man, every single time I have to do this. Sorry, my friend. See ya. I'm sure he's okay. Now, continuing on, let's get to the group over here. We are going to switch off weapons middle of the fight, but we're going to start off with the Baldur's Giant Slayer. And I'll show the combat log to, so you can see what's going on under the hood with something like Tavern Brawler and all the little bumps and damage that we have going on. But we're going to start off with Baldur's Giant Slayer, and then we can switch to Nirulna. Now, Nirulna already comes with that throne property, and it'll return to us. It's just starting off with the Giant Slayer here. This is what we're going to be applying Elemental Cleaver to. So let's go ahead. Let's start off the fight here. We'll just give one of them the boot. Here we go. Everybody's very upset with Karlach. Yeah. Karlach's bad. Now, because of our feral instincts and all that, we are, of course, going to go first. Unfortunately, we started off the fight with a bonus action. So you know what? We will let them get... actually, we'll go Giant form. I was going to say, we'll let them get in some hits on us, but nah. Let's get in Giant's form, and then we'll just wait. Go through all their turns. Damn, this would have worked out a little bit better if they would have gotten us under 50% because of the Helmet of Grit here. But we're not quite there yet. Anyways, beginning of the fight, always want to start off with raging. And while we're raging, remember, we're resistant to a lot of things they're doing to us. First things first, you have to apply Elemental Cleaver or else your weapon will not come back to you. These are our choices here. I'm just going to go with Thunder. If you have an enemy that's weak to a certain elemental type, obviously go with that. Now, bread and butter of this is, of course, just to throw our weapon. So we are going to throw it at, let's see here, probably the cleric, although these archers are really annoying. Let's go with the archer, but you can see, even though we have disadvantage, we have a 90% chance to hit. So let's throw it at him. A lot of damage there. Let's check the log real quick. Let me move my face out of the way. Now, taking a look at our log here, you can see the attack roll. You can see how Tavern Brawler is benefiting us, as well as with our rolled damage there. And you can see Savage Attacker is rolling that twice. That's what that reroll means right there. Furthermore, because of Elemental Cleaver, we get this thunder damage. And then Tavern Brawler is also being applied twice here in the log. This is like kind of the bug part where it's just doing more damage than it really should be. But yeah, pretty devastating just from one throw there. Let's throw another one real quick. And that archer should be, yeah, he's done already. Now again, at any point we can switch our element. Remember, it's not an action, it's not a bonus action. You just need to remember to apply it. But let's go ahead, have them hit us. Now that we're raging, they only do half damage. We are so very tanky. Oh, they have a cleric healing him. Well, I know who our next target is. Now, Mighty Impel here, we can just pick her up and throw her far away. You can also just throw them at also their allies as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Pick you up, throw you at her. We'll take the opportunity attack there. Not a big deal. And here we go. Go see your friend. Yeah. And we like to call that just good old-fashioned fun. Now that was just with our bonus action. This is why that helmet's really good. So we still have our regular throws to do. We'll spend one more turn with our Baldur's Giant Slayer, and then we'll switch over to Nirulna, because again, Nirulna is a great throwing weapon because it has that blast radius, but it hits your allies. So that's where it kind of stinks. But with these guys here, you know, we don't have any friends around us. Critical miss. Oh man, we saw a lot of those on our playthrough. Let's not talk about it or else I will rage. Just like a barbarian. So she's dead. And let's go ahead and wait another turn. We're going to be completely fine. We're very tanky. And you'll notice they are hurting themselves while they're hitting. That is because of our chest piece. Because you'll notice here, whenever we are hit, the attacker takes 6 piercing damage. Really good. Kind of wish we would have picked this up on our playthrough, but we did not. We still get our plus or our 2 bonus actions, so we can go ahead and give this guy the boot. Let's give them the boot. And remember, we can throw humanoids with our regular throw as well, because of we're just so damn strong. So this is why we just say this is a really fun class. Let's make sure we actually take out one of these guys. So here you go. Yep, there you go. Next turn we will switch to Nirulna. We might be able to AoE all them down. Nice critical hit of 7 damage. Ooh, a 1 there. Real strong. Alright, now it's our time to shine. Unfortunately, if we move, we're going to take a lot of opportunity hits. I think we'll be fine. You gotta risk it to get the biscuit. Keep on going, Karlach. Okay, beautiful. We got it out of the way. Now, technically, we can just go ahead and throw Nirulna, and Nirulna is what's going to come into our primary weapon now instead of the great sword. So we throw this. Hits all of them. Now you can see Nirulna is our main hand weapon. We can go ahead and apply our Elemental Cleaver to it just for that extra bit of thunder damage. And let's see, who do we want our next target to be? I guess you. Gosh, and it's consistent, bursty damage that essentially never misses unless you roll a critical failure like, you know, we like to do. But just to finish this guy off, boom. It looks like somebody else wants to join the party all the way up there. Well, I guess we'll go oblige. Giant Barbarian coming up the ladder. Hello, Archer, you're screwed. We're gonna jump on over. We're gonna use our Mighty Impel, and we're gonna throw him off this thing. It doesn't really rhyme our song anymore, but you get the point. Yeah! Now, as far as the Lithid powers, we didn't really talk about them with Karlach. She was a little reluctant to eat any tadpoles, but obviously all the usuals, like Luck of the Far Realm, really good for her. And again, with this latest playthrough, this is all the gear and stuff we were targeting. Obviously, there are other things you can pick up to make this build even stronger, but we didn't really need it. This was amazing through and through, a really just reliable build. It was really our Swashbuckler and our Giant Barbarian that were just through and through probably our best party members. But yeah, guys, that is video, that is build. Let me know how you like to make your giant barbarians, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Peace, and take care.